Hello, my name is Concord Merle, and today I'll be talking about radiation. Radiation is a clean energy source with zero emissions. Nuclear power generates nearly 20% of the energy produced in the US. It sounds great, but people have a lot of concerns about it, perhaps because we've had a long history of nuclear accidents in the world. While radiation does have the power to generate clean energy, there's still the concern about the people. It's important that we take these safety concerns seriously. Every single nuclear accident or harm caused by radiation is a tragedy, and we should aim for them to never occur again. Thankfully for us, that seems to be an attainable future with the data that we have. Studies focusing on medical radiation workers have found that since the 1960s, there has been no increased risk of cancer. This is significant, as even small amounts of radiation over a long period of time can cause cancer. That ranges from 1980 to 2013 showed that the number of reported overexposure accidents went from 173 accidents all the way down to 66 in 2013. In 1980 to 1989, the main area of these accidents happened in the industrial district. However, that number was brought from 91 accidents all the way down to 7. And now in the 2013 category, the majority of those accidents happened during radiation therapy. This decrease of number of accidents is also seen in the decrease of overexposed people. In 1980 to 1989, there were 1,114 reported overexposed people, but in 2010 to 2013, there were only 85. While 85 is still higher than most would like, compared to other careers such as construction, it's actually a lower number of people injured on the job. As of 2023, 42,333 people are employed in the nuclear power industry. Using the statistic of 85 reported overexposures from 2013, that would be only 0.2% of workers who received an overexposure. However, in construction, in 2020, the incidence rate for construction laborers was 48.3 cases per 10,000 full-time workers. This would be 0.483% of workers injured, a higher number than the zero point 0.2 workers injured by radiation in the workplace. As we learn more and more about nuclear power and radiation, the safer and safer we get. The safer we get and the more we know, the less nuclear accidents that we have. In fact, the most recent nuclear accident was in France on September 12th in 2011. At the Marcoule nuclear site, one person was killed and 4 injured, one being seriously injured. We've come far from the days of Chernobyl, where the official death toll is 31 people. However, many faced lasting consequences such as cancer from the radiation, and many were displaced from their homes that they grew up in. Every nuclear accident is a tragedy of its own, and we must remain vigilant so that these accidents can never repeat. Thankfully, the frequency and the rates of these accidents have gone down and down throughout the years. There are many ways we know of now to keep workers safe in these environments dealing with radiation. The United States Department of Labor lays out how we can do this. Going by order of effectiveness, the United States Department of Labor starts off with PPE. Over the pandemic, many have become familiar with the term PPE, but for radiation, that means lead aprons or vests, lead thyroid collar, lead gloves, or safety goggles, or all of the above. Lead is used in many radioactive environments due to its qualities of being able to stop radiation rays as it travels through the air. This is why when you go to the doctors for an x-ray, the physician will hide behind a wall. Some particles, such as alpha radiation, have very low penetrating power and can't even get through the layer of your skin, while others are much stronger and need that lead to be stopped. The next measure of prevention is administrative and work practice controls. This would require a worker or employee to do something in order to prevent a radiation accident. The next factor would be engineering controls, which requires a physical change to the workplace. One example of this would be having a machine do the mixing of chemicals instead of a human, as to avoid human error, or to avoid upper management from pressuring workers into unsafe practices just to increase output. The final and most effective measure would be elimination/substitution. This eliminates the exposure before it can occur. We don't want to wait until a worker gets hurt before we do something. We want to do something as soon as possible. Although it is still important to remember warning systems. No matter how hard you try to prevent an accident can always happen. So when something goes wrong, the workers must know immediately. Geiger counters which read the amount of radiation in the room should be placed around in order to detect if the radiation in the building has passed the normal and accepted level. Once it goes past this accepted level, it should set off an audible alarm that can be easily heard by all workers. These warning systems should be checked regularly to see if they are functioning properly. A warning system is no help if it's broken. Department of Labor places importance on three simple words: time, distance, and shielding. When dealing with radiation, it's important to minimize times in areas with elevated radiation levels. You must also maximize your distance away from any of these sources of radiation. And finally, shield yourself from radioactive sources. These three methods are important and work together to minimize the amount of radiation poisoning experienced by all kinds of people, from nurses working in chemotherapy to engineers working in nuclear energy. All these people must follow these regulations to stay safe. Thankfully, nowadays, these rates of overexposure accidents have lowered and lowered. But just because these rates are smaller does not mean that we can lessen our worry. Radiation is very helpful, but it's also very dangerous. Anyone who works with radiation must stay alert of the dangers. If we do not remember who were hurt by it, we are doomed to fall down the same path. If we forget the dangers, we risk becoming lazy about these safety measures. It's important that we remain vigilant no matter what. Radiation can cause so much harm, but it can also do so much good for the world, such as chemotherapy. I hope for a future where we learn more and can use radiation for more good uses. My name is Concord Merle, and this has been my mini podcast about radiation.